Well, I guess it's time for another personal share. And not that anyone out there was, asking for it, but yeah, I'll just share a little bit what else has been going on since the last time, and maybe it'll be helpful to somebody out there. So, yeah, I think the last one was a little depressive. Like, yeah, I was in a real depressed state. It was very short lived. I wouldn't say I was depressed. I was in a depressed state that really rectified itself. I think, yeah, it was something when I did the acceptance. I think I did that video. Is it Gene Key 25 acceptance or excess? Accepting your environment, accepting what is by bringing just letting the situation and everything have access to your being, having acceptance, and that was a game changer for me. Um, that lifted the depression of whatever. I can't remember the reason, but um, so yeah, I was practicing the acceptance, and that was beautiful. But I could feel in the progression, my evolution, that there was something else that needed to happen. I felt like I was missing the other half. And, as it normally happens, you're just going along your life and then you hear something. I was listening to an interview and somebody said, merge with reality. And just like suddenly it inside my being came, just said, okay, yes, I will. And suddenly it was like wasn't coming from me. It was just coming from inside of me. Yes, I will. Thank you. And then suddenly I could feel my awareness, my attention, like kind of erupting out of my heart or reaching out from my heart. And it was actively merging with reality. And that was the other half of the equation that I was missing. The acceptance part is, to me, felt like a very passive, like bring life to me and I'll accept it, and that's wonderful, and it's a beautiful thing to do, to take your outer external environment, situations, or your feelings in your subtle body and bring them in for healing. But then you're still kind of left with the reality around you, and you want to be an active participant rather than a passive. And that was the other half. And it's a beautiful, God, it's so beneficial. And when the other word, the passive way is acceptance. So what would this would be engagement or connection with life. And when you do that, reaching out from the heart, it's kind of like your entire awareness of your body kind of reaches out to and begins sensing your environment, and it immediately grounds you into this reality, into this now moment. And then, of course, the heart and the throat area are really those two chakras that function in the now moment, in this reality, third, fourth dimensional reality, which is where we're living. I mean, the bottom half is past and the top half is future. So the heart is the place that will really ground you. So, give it a try. Try just kind of stopping and imagine reaching out with your heart, and then the body will follow. And it's a beautiful thing. It's just like, yeah, I'm just going to connect with what's going on around me and see how it feels. And it's beautiful. You feel like you've been reattached to the web of life around you. So that was beautiful. That was the other half of acceptance, engagement, or connection, whatever word you want to use. But I do think it needs the other half. What else? Let me look at my notes. Yeah, so also part of that depressive state, there was something that was happening in my meditation, in my I don't know how to really explain. Yeah, in meditation, that was no longer happening. That has been happening for years. And then something kind of went wrong. And it was really disturbing to me. And I had nothing to do. And I just felt this calling to pick up this book and read it. And yeah, boy, I sat down, and it took me about a week, but it's a big, thick book. And I was reading it, and I finally got to where I wanted to go. I should have just opened it and gone to where I wanted to go, but I felt like I had to read from the beginning to the end to get the full spectrum. But anyway, right in there, it was talking the section on spiritual initiations. And I had previously thought, oh yeah, I am coming near to this fourth initiation, or I am in this fourth initiation, but then this thing went wrong, what I was calling wrong, something was wrong. And I was depressed because, during meditation, you see certain things, you have, yeah. And when it goes away, you think something's wrong. And I was like doubting my whole spiritual journey and thinking something's wrong. And this is where you start saying, why has God forsaken me? Because something goes out, a light goes out, and that's all I'll say. But anyway, and I was like, what is happening? I've done something wrong. Maybe I'm only at the first initiation. I just fooled myself this whole time? You damn ego. Anyway, yeah, I'm laughing now, but it was very serious. Anyway, I get to reading about the fourth initiation, and I mean, I'm getting tingles and chills now. And right in there, it says the fourth initiation is really what you call the dark night of the soul. And this is why. I've talked about, oh, it's the dark night of the soul because this is so terrible. It feels so awful. It's all the dark stuff coming up. No, that's not what it is. It literally means that something goes out. The light goes out. I won't tell you what light it is or whatever, because I think sometimes, we get a bit of information and we go, oh yeah, I must be in the fourth initiation because yeah, I experience that too, but it's not really, you have to discover it for yourself. And this is what happened to me. So I'm reading that, and it says right in there, and one of the signs of the fourth initiation, which is the most difficult thing for the aspirant or the initiate to deal with, is that it basically goes dark. And what you think is your previous connection goes dark too. And everything is dark. And you really start feeling, why, God, have you forsaken me? Because it's quiet. The crickets, you get nothing. There's no phenomena. There's no lights. There's nothing. And you think you have made up everything in the past, and wow, it is so difficult. And this process, anyway, so that was confirmation to me. And that took a huge load off, to have understanding that I'm still progressing. I haven't backslidden. Nothing's going wrong, but this is part of the journey. But it is quite a difficult process, because during this true dark night of the soul, the lights go out, crickets, no one's talking to you, no phenomenon, nothing. And you are kind of left with your own devices. And during this time, this dark night of the soul is the process of actually the soul now breaking down. What is the word? Destroying, breaking down the soul. And it's really tough. Now, I don't know if you know, but the soul is also called the superego. So it's an ego as well. It's your higher ego, but it's still an individualized formation of source. And it too is being broken down. And what happens, that breaking down translates down into the lower ego, lower mind. And it starts whittling away at the very things. First of all, it starts really testing your trust in God, in the universe, whatever word you want to call it, because now you're left with your own free will, your own devices, so to speak. Let's see. Can you trust blind faith? That's what this is feeling like. You're no longer getting signs and lots of lights and visions and feel good feelings. Can you trust in the process, trust in spirit, trust in God, when nothing is giving you confirmation, when you're just left in this dark cave all by yourself? Can you trust? Do you still love God when he's not affirming and confirming you? I mean, it is really tough. And of course, you're going to be sent situations. This is a real testing period, really, before you really enter fully into this. It's called the probationary period. I think before you really enter in the full aspect of the fourth initiation. And I think these probationary periods can last lifetimes. Anyway, can you trust when nothing else is giving you affirmations, confirmations, no sparkly things, no feel good feeling? It's really, really tough, and you're going to be tested. Yeah. So it is really testing my faith and trust in the universe, that it always has my back, that it's always doing something for the good, and that I need to stop trying to make things happen. That's really tough. So trust is a big issue, and it's also testing you and forcing you to, all along the spiritual journey, you were like, yes, God, I want to be one with you, and I want to be absorbed back, blah, blah, blah. I've just lost my train of thought. When God is not, and I hope you don't mind me using, to me, I hated that word for a long time, but it just is the appropriate word for me. But of course, I just mean source, intelligence, whatever. You wanted God before. Do you still want God? Do you still have that devotion, that longing when you get nothing back? So yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a real test of why you're on the spiritual journey, right? It's a test of the soul. Okay. So also it's a breaking down of the ego at its fundamental level. And one level, what I was experiencing is, I could see myself, because when you're not getting stimulus from the universe to keep you going, that little carrot to keep you going, then what happens is the ego goes, oh, I have to do stuff in my outer world. I have to do, right? Because the ego is trying to maintain its aliveness, its authority over the personality, or the person is trying to keep itself alive. And during this time, I'm finding myself, oh my God, I can't sit still. I normally can't sit still, but that's just the ego trying to confirm itself, keep itself alive, and to distract you from stillness, right? Because stillness is the killer of the ego. Anyway, let me see. Stay focused. Yeah. So I was sitting, I sat down, and I forced myself to sit down during this time of like frantic, like, oh, I've got to find something to do. I have nothing to do. What can I do? What can I do? Clean house, do this, make a video. God, please give me something. Give me some inspiration. Let me think of a class. Give me something to do, right? Something to keep my mind active and distracted. I mean, I was and still am going a bit crazy, but I forced myself to sit down and feel this out, like what is going on. And what I could literally feel, how this poor body and the nervous system, that the mind is so used to, or conditioned, right? It's not poor mind, it's not its fault. So conditioned to keep itself alive through outer stimulus that, and I could feel it was as if all of my nerve endings and the brain and the firing and the neurons in the brain were all like reaching out into the outer world, screaming, stimulate me, send me something. I need an object to look at. I need something, something, something. And I had to talk to it. And this is the part that might be helpful. And I would recommend it being a practice. I had to begin talking to it and visualizing my brain and all of the firings telling it, no, stillness is safe. You're not going to die, because it feels like it wants to die without stimulus to keep it alive. It feels like it's going to die. And so the practice would be sit down, sit in stillness, and see if you can feel this to do something, to be stimulated. If you can, it's okay. But that edge to like get up, I got to do something. That's it. It's trying to keep itself alive. It's stillness. It fears stillness. And you can visualize calming the firings of your brain, like relaxing the head and opening it up, and letting the brain kind of relax and still, and let it know it's okay, it's safe, it's a good thing. And that perhaps instead of reaching outwards in this reality, perhaps we just open up, upwards, open to receive from above. Yeah. Anyway, that works wonders to calm everything down. But I realized that the nervous system, it's a retraining of your lower mind to, instead of receiving your confirmation from this world of stimulus, a retraining to receive from no longer the causal body, soul, higher self, superego, is breaking down. Now what I'm working with very, very deeply, I've created a deep connection, is the monadic self, also known as, for your information, oversoul. Yes, monadic self, the Atman, not the Atmic body, but the Atman, and I am presence, probably something else, but that should cover it. Yeah. So now this is the time when you can create the direct connection to your monadic self. I am presence. Yeah. And the brain needs to or the lower mind of the personality needs to rest assured that it won't die, but now it will be the vessel for higher, much safer, more loving frequencies. But you have to train. It has to be a free will movement by you. This is a real testing period, right? Testing. Do you really, really want to be a vessel for spirit? And what are you going to do about it? Yeah, so that's that. And also, part of the ego trying, the way the ego stays alive is by being seen, or being stimulated and being seen. And so this is another area that it's working on me, part of this. Okay, I got to do a class. I got to make a video. Like even doing a video right now is an egoic move, trying to keep itself alive. And yeah, because part of this initiation is to break your attachment to trying to become somebody, to be seen, to get your confirmations from outside sources. And this is extremely difficult for me. It is for everyone. Can you imagine if your YouTube, social media, if you stopped doing all of that? And, for me, I live alone. I live a very isolated life. I don't get out much. I don't talk to hardly any, and I'm okay with that. but there's still parts of my ego that says, oh, I have to do classes. I have to do something, blah, blah, blah. I have to be seen. I mean, that it's very unconscious, in order so that if someone sees me or gives me a thumbs up on something, that I know, oh, okay, I exist. And I might possibly matter for that nanosecond. And this is, God, I cannot tell you how difficult this is, to not engage and force some kind of something in your outer world so that somebody sees you. I'm not very pleased with myself that I'm doing these videos, because because this morning I was like, dear God, give me some inspiration, a class, give me something to do. And I was trying to force, and I'm probably going to create a fate for myself. But, you know, this is also part of sharing my experience. I don't know, maybe I'm rationalizing it, but maybe it is time for me to like not do any videos. I mean, no one hardly watches them anyway. But I think this is an important information to share, different aspects of these initiation processes and what happens and what needs to break down. And, you know, all of these people making videos of their journeys, one of these days, like, can they stop? Can they handle all of their issues on their own? And I'm speaking to myself, without the hidden motivation, like, yeah, I'm going to go through this and then share it online, and I'll get lots of likes and I'll get people commenting and I'll feel wonderful. Like, can you go through this journey with only you and God and nobody else? Are you truly willing to be a nobody to become a somebody, the somebody that you were meant to be? Like, this is a real fucking testing time. So we'll see in September if I don't come up with a group or a class or something. I do think, however, that there is a happy medium. And what I did get is, as long as the motivations, like, there really shouldn't be a motivation for doing a class or pulling a group together. It can't come from any kind of self-referential, like, oh yeah, I'll get some likes, I'll get seen, or I'll do it just to make money. No, it has to be for the pure joy of it, that you would do it anyway. It is something that you do normally. Then what I received as guidance was, I am good to do that and will not create more karma. I am trying not to make any more karma. I don't want any more impressions in my subtle body or causal body. I'm trying to break that all down. So there is a happy medium, but you have to be really, really, really in deep awareness of your motivations. And if there's any ego motivation behind it, to be seen, to be affirmed, to make money, whatever, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Just ask. I know. Okay. I think that's enough for now. Let me see what else. Oh yeah, there's some other testing things going on, but I will refrain from sharing about that right now. Okay, until next time. Bye.